Hey, everybody. Welcome to your weekly readings. These are readings that are very specific to those that have a membership on Heavy Metal Psychic website. There's a lot of different things included in the membership, so I will definitely put the link in the description here so that anybody that is currently not on the list can check it out. Especially if you would like to join the party. But I'm going to go ahead and actually get right to it. We don't have a lot of people, so this shouldn't be too long of a video. And everybody on my list is put in order of their astrological signs. So we're going to start with my Aries, and I only have one, and that is my good friend Kimberly. I want to keep saying that a different last name for whatever reason. Another Kimberly that I knew a long time ago keeps coming up in my brain. Maybe I should check and see if she's still around. But of course, I'm talking to you, not the other one. So Kimberly, first of all, I just have to say that you're totally kicking ass. I have been seeing some of the things that you've gotten pretty much are doing these days, and I'm super duper proud of what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else you're getting yourself into. I look a little windblown and crazy, but I literally just flew in to get this done. It's crazy week this week. For this week, there is I want to say there's a couple of things actually that are coming up for you. The first thing that I'm being shown this week, and I have to say, we're done with Mercury retrograde. It is direct, but there is a shadow period until the 10th. So even though it's the 5th, I'm currently recording on the 5th here. The retrograde ended 2 days ago. We still have a little bit of some stuff going on there with the shadow period of that retrograde. And yesterday was a humdinger, let me tell you. Okay, in fact, it felt like the day after it ended was way crazier than like the days that it was actually retrograde. But that's neither here nor there. I see a couple of things coming up for you. The first thing is I do see a difficulty with another person or a challenge coming up with another person. Either this person promised you something that they're not following through with, or that this is somebody from the past that is just not somebody that you want to be dealing with right now. It's like, I keep hearing, I just don't have time for this crap right now, so to speak. The best advice I can really give on that, two things. One, if it is somebody that's coming up from the past, yes, you're absolutely right to want to leave them in the past. You should just leave them in the past. This is not you walked away from this relationship for a reason. So there's definitely, no matter what they're saying, you don't want to bring them back. They're not going to help you. If anything, they're going to be slowing you down. So you want to make sure that you keep that in mind. The other thing that I feel is popping up for you right now in Aries, Jupiter is pretty much poised and focused on money and money growth, and that's really a big thing. And of course, you got Mars going on in there as well, so that's a lot of energy going towards that money growth, which is really good. God, I look red. And that's definitely a good thing. But I don't want you to be discouraged if it feels like the growth process for this money is going to take a little bit of time. So when you're going into business, especially when you're first going into business, things are a little bit slow. I see like a bumper crop of clients that may have taken place, and then things kind of slow down. Don't freak out. Don't go to that freak out place. You know, let it be what it is and just keep on going. Okay, because the only way that you're going to fail at this is if you stop doing it. Okay, so this week money might be a little bit of a challenge, a little bit slow. Part of that has to do with the shadow period, or the Mercury shadow period. And communication, of course, is a big part of, you know, gaining clients and such. So you want to make sure that you communicate what you're doing very, very clearly, as much as you possibly can, and make sure that whatever it is that you are doing, you're doing it to the best of your ability. And I do want to just warn you just a little bit here about the energy burnout that Mars does. Sometimes it's kind of the backlash of Mars being in your sign, even if it is your ruling planet. Okay. The thing is that I see a very high energy. I see you doing a lot of stuff. Self-care is important. Make sure that's in your schedule, because if it's not in your schedule, in my experience, if you don't take care of yourself, your guys will force you to take care of yourself. And it's usually getting hurt or getting sick or something that's going to force you to lay in bed and not do any of that stuff. So in my experience, I would rather just take the few minutes every day to do that and not have to be forced into it. But, you know, that's my opinion. So that's what I have for you, Kimberly. Good luck with that. And I'm going to move on to my Tauruses. I have no more Rams left. So my Tauruses, Darcy is my first one. First of all, I just connected with Darcy yesterday. In fact, I've been so ridiculously busy that I haven't even been able to respond back to her. So I just want to say I'm so sorry that you're going through what you're going through right now. It is just you shouldn't be. We'll just put it that way. You shouldn't be having to go through this right now. But you are, and it is happening, and that is unfortunate. And I wish that my fortune for you could be that we could just go backwards and it not happen. And unfortunately, I don't have the power to do that. This week, though, I do see a lot of trying to get things sort of organized and worked out a little bit. It is going to be difficult. I do see that you have a bit of a low energy because of the situation that has taken place and the things that have happened. And so because of that, it's really important that you do make sure that you maintain your self-care as well. With Mercury in Taurus, and Mercury's retrograde has been in Taurus, it's interesting, I guess, is the best word to put it, that all of this happened during a Mercury retrograde, where communication issues have a tendency to happen a lot. I don't like the fact that this happened to you. It doesn't mean, unfortunately, that we can get around it. So with that in mind, we want to use this as a lesson to look back on, did you properly communicate with this man, you know, to make sure that these things don't happen in the future. You know, something like this, you know, could happen in the future, especially in terms of miscommunications. I see a slow process of moving forward. That is okay. You don't need, there's no race, there's nobody timing you to see how fast you're going. Get your stuff in order as much as you can, and take care of you as much as you can as well. I also do see a little bit of good news coming your way this week. It's not exactly, you know, the best news you're ever going to get, but it is a little bit of good news from somebody. And I also see some money coming to you this week, and I'm not really sure where that's coming from, you know, in terms of, I mean, it could be a payday, it could be money owed to you, you know, something like that. So I do see that coming to you as well. So I hope that maybe helps a little bit. for your week. It is really, really crappy when people screw you over. And unfortunately, it's just human nature for us to screw each other over. I think even people that don't normally screw each other over do so sometimes. Although, and this is not, one of those situations. And like I said, if I could put a curse on that man for you, I would, but it's just not something that I do. I also have Stacy on my list as well. And Stacy, hello. It's been a very long time since we had a chit chat. And let me tune in here and see what I have for you. And let me take a little sip of my coffee while I do it. Stacy, you are one of those Taurus women that is never not doing something. I know a few of those actually. And I think that's wonderful. I think that self-care is important for you also this week. But I also see, coming off of this Mercury retrograde, it has been a couple of weeks of just so much stuff coming in, and it's not like the normal stuff that you would deal with, on a regular basis. This is like some really crazy stuff, that's been coming up. And so I feel just this week, I feel a little bit of exhaustion coming from that. Because it has been kind of a crazy few weeks, and it is okay. I really feel I need to say these words. You have to give yourself permission to rest. Okay. And the reason why I'm saying it in that way is because it's almost like I feel like the reason why you have such a hard time with self-care or with resting is you feel bad if you're not doing something. You feel like you're failing if you're not doing something. The truth is, you aren't going to get very far if you don't take care of yourself. That's really important to make sure that you do that. So I do want to see you making that time for you to kind of unplug, regroup, and get back into the game a little bit. It will definitely make things a lot easier for you. I'm also kind of coming up with, though, that every time you slow down, it's really hard to get back into the groove. And that might be why you don't slow down very often also. I'm going to have to say that while I understand where you're coming from, being a fixed sign also, because Taurus is a fixed sign, it's still very necessary. And of course, you don't want to burn yourself out either. So make sure that you have some of that time in your week. One of the things that is coming up for you this week, I feel, I know you've got kids. I know summer vacation is coming up. I do feel a little bit of a panic in terms of having to change your normal schedule. I know you work, so finding childcare for the kids during during school hours when they're not at school, things like that. I see a last minute panic coming up this week, like you thought you had everything all figured out, and then all of a sudden you have to come up with a new plan. Let me put it to you this way: we make things as big or small as they need to be. So don't let this thing become something that is so incredibly huge that it is bigger than you can deal with. Okay. It doesn't have to be. Okay. I'm saying that this situation is not as big as you may project it out to be. And so therefore the frustration won't be quite as high as you can make it, because that's how we all do. I'm not saying that you throw fits all the time. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just the panic is like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Never mind. I've got a backup plan for that, kind of a thing. So just try and handle that panic and frustration a little bit better. Not better, not saying that you don't handle it well, but just make sure that it's not so big that it's completely taking over your life. okay, and exhausting you in the process, because there is a backup plan and everything is going to work itself out just fine. That's it for my Tauruses. I have no Geminis. I have no Cancers. I'm going to move on to Leo. I've got Connie here. Connie. Okay, so this is, I do see a very busy week for you. Lots of different clients. And I don't see a lot of cancellations. And I kind of feel that this week is so busy that maybe you'd like a couple of them to cancel or reschedule. But I actually don't see a lot of that happening. I see, what I do see is a lot of these people are not going to cancel, and you're going to have to see all of them. You might have one and that's it. There's two things about these clients that are popping up, and well, two clients in particular. These are both two really good clients, which means that they are possible moneymaker clients. One of which, it may not seem like that in the beginning. I kind of get like a weird vibe, or like you're getting a weird vibe from the client. But the reality of it is that, you know, weird vibe or not, this is actually a really good client. But I feel like they're not really open and friendly, and, you know, very straight poker face, like you don't know what they're thinking. And that can always be very difficult when you're communicating with somebody. The other one that's popping up, and I couldn't tell you which days these two were. I want to say the first one is a male. Also, the second one I'm looking at is a male as well. This one in particular needs a lot of help. I do see that there's a good amount of money there for you to help, but this poor man is just lost. Like, he has no clue what to do. So he may actually be a little bit easier because he's pretty much open to anything. Okay, so make sure you bring your arsenal of what you can use to help him out, if that makes sense, because you're going to need pretty much the entire arsenal. And there's a little bit of background noise just in case you guys can hear that. Okay. I'm also not seeing anything overly crazy coming up this week. Nothing with the family that I'm necessarily seeing that's going to be a big thing or anything. It's going to be a pretty quiet week outside of the issues that you know, the fact that you have a very, very busy schedule. Might possibly see some grandbaby time too. Not It's not 100%, but I do possibly see that as a possibility. Moving on to Christina. I did not get Julie's sign from you. I know she told me a long time ago. I just don't remember what it is. So first of all, I really hope that she got the job. And I don't know, I haven't heard anything, but I hope that she got the job. There's one thing coming up for her, I'm just going to throw in there, and that is, I feel like she is going to have to deal with somebody who has a personality that is just really difficult for her to deal with, and it's going to take everything that she has not to lose her shit, if that makes sense. It would not be a good idea for her to lose her shit. So this is a really good opportunity for her to try and figure out how to deal with somebody with this kind of personality in a different way than maybe she would have dealt with in the past, if that makes sense. For you, I'm actually getting a couple of those types of personalities for you as well. Maybe not the same personality, but this is more like, how do I want to say this? Okay. Let me pause. Yes. Okay, I didn't mean to stop the recording. I meant to pause it. So in any case, Christina, we're on Christina. And I want to say actually the words that I'm getting is almost like where are all the crazies coming from this week? It's just like every single person that you got to deal with has either a chip on their shoulder or there's something off about, it's just it's really, really annoying. At the end of the day, it's really important for you, and I feel like part of this has to do with the job that you have. I guess it's really important for you to unplug from that at the end of the day. I feel like over time it just starts to get heavier and heavier and heavier and more difficult, and if you can do a really good ground and release at the end of the day, that's a really good thing. I kind of feel like you do that a little bit, but this week it's really going to be necessary, like every single day, because to me, the way I would describe it, yesterday actually was one of those days where the way I described it is everybody took a stupid pill today, and they're all just, they don't know how to drive, they don't know what they're doing, it's nuts. This is not so much a stupid pill as it just feels like everybody's just on a rampage almost, and it's not just at work, it's not just your clients, it just feels like there's a lot of negative energy around. Do whatever you can, ground and bubble. I taught you how to ground and bubble as much as you can to make sure that you're not pulling that in, because you don't want to pull that in and keep it, if that makes sense. Okay, it's definitely not something that you want to do. The other thing is, it's really important, I'm being told, to get your car maintenance checked. Either you need an oil change, there's something up with a tire, there's a little something that needs to be taken care of, and you've just been putting it off, and you really need to not put it off anymore. Get that looked at or get that fixed or whatever it is. It's not safe. It's just, you just don't want to do that. Okay, so make sure that you do take care of that. Okay, I have no Virgos. Libra is next to my friend Theresa. I am just heartbroken over what you're going through right now. And as we are moving into the second week after the incident, we'll just say, that happened, I don't see a lot coming up for you right now. I don't see a lot of change from last week. That kind of fog is still there. I know that you have some pretty intense things that you do have to deal with this week. It's okay to fall apart. You don't have to be strong for everybody. There's a purple orb right here, by the way, that I'm seeing in my hair in the video as we're doing this right now. And I'm not sure if that's your son or not. But it is okay to fall apart. You don't have to be strong for everybody. I think that this is a very typical Libra thing to do, or to think, is that they have to be the ones that, that remain strong for everybody else, so everybody else can fall apart. And that's part of the Libra martyrdom in many ways. But you don't have to be this time. And you shouldn't be this time. I'm also really pulled to tell you that whatever you do, being busy just so that you don't have to think about this and don't have to feel this right now is not necessarily going to work in your favor. If anything, it may make things more complicated for you than they need to be. It might drag this out longer than it needs to, in terms of your grief cycle. Let yourself grieve. Remember that grief tears are part of unconditional love. It's love that has really nowhere to go because the person isn't there anymore. And so because of that, when you deny your grief tears, you're denying love to the person that you love. And of course, I know that you would never in a million years do that. Give yourself the space to do it. I know it's painful and I know it hurts. And I wish with everything I have that I could take it away, all of it. And I can't. Do what you need to do to take care of you this week. Do what you need to do with the situation, but don't do any more than that if you can avoid it. And I'm sending you lots of love and lots of hugs and whatever energy I can to make this easier for you, if I can. I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to move on to Scorpio, Regina, which Regina is technically both Libra and Scorpio. She's born on the cusp. So we've had several discussions of where should we put her? Well, we put her either one. It doesn't matter because Regina, your birthday is on the day that the sun moves from Libra to Scorpio. So you are both. Couple of things coming up. You mentioned in our last little conversation where you you know, that's why I have trouble making decisions. And it's definitely a Libra thing. Not so much because you're both, but I do feel that there's a couple of decisions that are going to come up this week. Speaking of those decisions, there's a couple of decisions that are going to come up this week that are going to be a little bit difficult. I have to say what I'm being told for you about that is, first of all, you know in your heart what decision you need to make. You're pulled to what decision you need to make, but your mind is almost needs confirmation that that is the right decision, right? When you're feeling pulled in the direction of the decision that you need to make, that is your confirmation. You just have to learn to trust in your own inner guidance. And I actually have a inner, pardon me, an inner guidance workshop coming up here in the next couple of weeks, which might be helpful in terms of learning how to really pay attention to that and listen to that. These are decisions that definitely need to be made this week. So you don't want to spend too much time flip-flopping back and forth, trying to figure out what to do or what decision to make. Sometimes it's easier just to go with your first thought. Usually your first thought also lines up with where you feel pulled to at the same time. So I have that. The other thing that's coming up for you, Regina, is I want to say, actually, I really feel a lot of worry for somebody around you. This could be a child, but it could be an adult also. It could be an adult child, to be honest. I don't know where the worry is coming from or why you're worried. I just want to tell you that those in spirit around you are watching, they're working, and everything is going to be okay. And that's what I'm being told about that. Everything is going to work itself out and everything is going to be okay. So try not to make yourself sick worrying about it, because when you make yourself sick worrying about it, it's not going to make the situation any easier. We'll put it that way. So that's what I have for you, Regina. I'm moving on to my Sagittarians, who I have quite a few, and we're going to start with Amanda. Amanda's doing amazing things. If anybody is over here watching Amanda's reading, Amanda is out there doing amazing things, and she's totally kicking ass right now. I mean, she's been kicking ass, but she really is kicking ass right now. Two things. One, don't overbook yourself this week. I see that as a possibility. And I'm not saying overbooking yourself with clients. I'm saying overbooking in general. Work, fun, household, everything. I get a little bit of It's like my vision of you is, oh, that's coming up. No, that's okay. I'll work it into the schedule over here. Oh, wait, I forgot about that. It's okay. I'll work it into the schedule here. And then all of a sudden at the end of the week, you're just right. And that's, you don't want to do that, right? It's okay to say no when you need to say no. Make sure that you are putting yourself in a position to be okay with saying no. Because sometimes you really need to. And this could be having to say no to your kids, all right, or your husband or your family, because you have a lot of things going on this week. Next week doesn't seem quite so crazy as this week. And I'm glad to know I'm not the only one having a really crazy week this week, because it really is. So that's one thing. The other thing is, there's a lady around you, and what I'm hearing in your head is, what the hell is wrong with this woman, right? It's almost like she's going through something, and she's not even herself at all. If you have the time to sit down and help her, give her some space to talk it out a little bit, that would be great. But if you don't, the best thing that you can do is to walk up and give this woman one of your beautiful, great big bear hugs, if you can, and maybe share a little bit of that calming energy with her, because she is just like, it's like she's spazzing out, and that's not really normal for her. There is something going on, but I don't think she's really ready to kind of come out and communicate with that yet. So if you can make time for her, great. But at the same time, don't let her take up too much time either, okay? Because you've got a lot going on this week. So if you do have time for her, clear the space for her. Just don't make sure that she's, put the damper on her coming in and taking up too much space that she doesn't need to be taking up this week. And let her know you love her, but this is what you need to do right now. Moving on to my good friend Sheri, and I actually just realized I have somebody who's not on this list that should be, but it's okay. I'll rectify that for next week. My good friend Sheri, our baby's graduating this week. I really went back and forth on whether or not I should start doing this week, because honestly, this week it's crazy to take a couple of days in the middle of the week to go up north for this, but I would not have it any other way. Part of me can't wait to see her. I'm gonna cry. Part of me can't wait. And part of me is like, why? Why are our babies all grown up now? So that's what you got going on this week, Sheri. There's that. Oh, I'm gonna cry a lot. Maybe we'll just spend some time crying together. I don't know. With all this going on this week, there is a danger of you forgetting something that you normally do as well. So, normally your energy, the way that you do things, you're on top of everything, right? This is a much different circumstance than you would normally deal with during any week at all. This is a big thing, and it's a happy thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's a rite of passage thing. It's an emotional thing. And it's big enough that little things have a tendency to get kind of sort of looked over. So just make sure that you're not too being pulled in a million different directions, kind of a thing. I think having us there actually might be the reason why you forget something. Who knows? Because it's just we're big distractions. I know, we can't help it. But the more you ground and bubble in the morning, it sets the tone for the whole day. I'm giving you that reminder also because I know that you need that reminder. So just make sure that I don't see that, you know, if you forget something, it's going to be like the worst thing in the world and, you know, the world's going to end because of it. I just feel like you might be so frazzled with the things that are going on this week that you may be forgetting some of these little things. And so it's good to kind of ground and bubble and clear your mind so that you can refocus and make sure that that you're on top of the really important things that you need to be on top of. I love you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of days and possibly crying with you because our little girl is graduating. Oh my God. And I did not plan to cry through this video for that. But anyways, I digress. Okay, moving on to Peg. Hello, Peg. Let me get some coffee here. Okay. Man, Sheri, I should have done yours last, I swear. Okay, Peg. This week kind of feels a little crazy for you too. Maybe a lot more going on this week than normal. First thing I'm being told to tell you, and this is from a lady in spirit, I don't know who she is. She says, this week is not a good time to keep your schedule here because you will forget things. So make sure you write everything down, especially the really important things that need to be done. I kind of feel that there's a few things you want to get done, and if you don't put them on a schedule, they're just not going to get done. And these are not like appointments or anything. It's more like I want to say that these things are like they have to do with writing, or they have to do with some things that you're planning to get done. And you know, if you don't incorporate them into a schedule, they just won't get done, kind of a thing. But I also see a couple of things popping up throughout the week in your schedule that you weren't necessarily prepared for. And that's going to be a little bit of a chaotic, hectic, you know, thing going on there. And so in order to make sure that you are on top of everything, okay, it's really important to stick to that schedule as much as possible. You can write it down in a notebook. I use the Google Calendar. I love Google Calendar. Okay, you can put 20 calendars on there, and everything is, you know, between myself, my husband, our businesses, you know, family stuff, everything goes on that one calendar. And it really makes things a lot easier for me, for sure. It makes things a lot easier for my husband as well. The other thing that I kind of feel is coming up is I want to say that there's a place you've been pulled to go. I don't know if this is like a vacation place or just a shop that you haven't been able to go take a look at or something like that. This is you've been pulled to go. If you can fit this in this week, I highly recommend that you do. There's a reason why you're being pulled to go to this place. And I feel like this week is really a good time. Okay, it's really a good time to go check it out and to see why you're being pulled there. I also kind of get the feeling that once you get there, you're like, okay, well, I still don't know why I was pulled there. But I feel like it will come to you at some point. So even if it doesn't come to you when you get there, you'll understand probably later on. The last thing is, I really feel in this really busy, crazy week, because I don't feel it's just you. I think your husband's got some stuff going on too as well. Really a good idea to try and find one day to connect. The two of you would definitely be good, because I feel like it's not that you're ignoring him and it's not that he's ignoring you. I just feel like sometimes it becomes more and more difficult to find those times to connect. And so if you could, get that in this week, or if you make it a point to do it every week, that you don't decide not to do it this week because you have other things going on. Make sure that's a very important part of your schedule as well. I do see a lady coming up this week. I'm not sure if this is somebody that you already know or somebody that you knew from the past. This lady is really difficult. I don't even know how to describe her any other way other than in a nasty way, we'll put it, and I don't want to do that. I'm just going to say this: her issues are her issues, and whether she tries to project it on you or not, you don't have to accept that, okay? So don't, because they're her issues, even if she's trying to make it seem like they're your issues. So that's what I have for you, Peg. Moving on to my Capricorns, I have Rebekka. That's not my coffee. Oh, let's try to drink my microphone. Oh my God. And I'm stone sober, by the way. Okay. And this is the kind of stupid stuff that I do when I'm stone sober. Okay. You should see me when I'm actually not. Rebekka. I feel like you're getting through a challenge this week. I don't feel like the challenge starts this week, though. I feel like you've been going through it the past couple of weeks. It has gotten better, but I also kind of get this feeling like maybe you thought it was behind you, and then something pops up this week and you're like frustrated because I thought we were done with this and moved on and blah, 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 kind of a thing. You are done. Okay. But just because this little thing comes up one time doesn't mean that it's not done forever. Okay. I do see, once this one little thing comes up, I do see that it is pretty much done after that, from that point forward. If that helps. Frustrating, annoying, not the end of the world. Okay. So I do see that. The other thing is, I really feel that there's a challenge within one of your relationships. And when I say relationships, I don't necessarily mean a love match. Could be with your children, could be with your parents, could be with friends or acquaintances. This challenge that is coming up, this sort of seems like this sort of seems like a pattern. It's like, most of the time things are cool, and then this stuff comes up and it becomes a challenge, right? Two things are coming up with that. One, because we're still in the shadow period of the Mercury retrograde, communication is really important. Every time Mercury goes retrograde, it gives us an opportunity to understand how we are miscommunicating things. So if the first thing that I would do is I would look to my own communication if I was you. Are you communicating correctly? Now, if you're doing the woman thing, all right, when I say the woman thing, what I mean is, this is very common for us women to do, right? In a relationship, you're mad at your man, okay? And your man goes, "What's the matter?" And you go, "Nothing." And they go, "Okay, well, she said nothing." And then you get mad because they're not reading between the lines. That's not proper communication. Nothing is ever going to get done, right? Unless you actually say, "This is what's bothering me." The other way is how you say it, not just what you say, but how you say it. And we human beings have a really bad habit of saying things in the wrong way. especially these days. I see miscommunication everywhere. It is just everywhere. It's all over the place. To be honest, how you say things is important. If you're going up to something and says, I don't like that you're doing this because you are blah, 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 you're attacking, the person's going to be defensive. They're going to attack you back. Nothing ever gets resolved. Instead of coming at somebody in a aggressive way, oftentimes it's better to sit down with that person. In my mind, I call it like a business meeting, right? My husband and I actually use this a lot. We sit down at the conference room table and we lay everything out on the table, and there it all is, so that we can deal with whatever the problem is. I try not to approach it with, you are pissing me off because, and then whatever it is. Instead, a better way of saying it is, I'm needing some help here, okay? Because I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to do all these other things, and I just don't have time to do everything here either. I need some help. What can we do to get me some help? Kind of a thing. I am, number one, more likely to get that help than if I went up to him and said, you're a lazy piece of crap and you don't get off any, right? Number two, it also feels better. You're not angry. You don't feel all that tightness in your chest and in your shoulders and in your belly, right? It's a much calmer experience. Now, of course, it takes two people to communicate, but it takes one person to change the communication pattern. And that's really what we're talking about here. And this has a lot to do with patterns of communication that have been going on for a long time. And it is up to you to change how you are communicating. Okay. So I'm going to leave that with you. And my very last reading here is Diane, my only Aquarius. I don't have any little Pisces on my list here. And I might sneeze. It's coming. I'm just saying, Diane. I love that every time I connect with you, I hear the word walkabout. I don't know if that means that you go on a lot of walkabouts or if it's just because you're in Australia and I'm like, Australia, walkabout, right? I watched the Crocodile Dundee movie. I know what it is. But I think this week is actually a really good week for that, or a really good time for that, because I do see you just kind of sort of, cutting the, from reality, from everything, and just kind of going on a bit of a walk, or a walkabout, I should say. To be honest with you, I feel like you do this for a reason. One, it clears your head. It brings your energy back to balance, to where it needs to be. It really clears a lot of the cobwebs and a lot of the frustration and a lot of things that have gone on before. But I also do see a couple of things that may come up this week that are considered quote unquote frustrating. Okay. Specifically, relationship frustrations. So, frustrations with the people around you. This week, though, again, we're in the shadow period of the Mercury retrograde. You want to pay attention to your normal reaction, okay? Specifically, your normal trigger reaction, all right? Your normal trigger reaction doesn't always work well, okay? And when I say it doesn't always work well, when we get triggered, we emotionally react. It doesn't fix the problem. It keeps it going, right? Pardon me. This week is a good time to really pay attention to your natural trigger reaction. In my experience, you have about 30 seconds. That's all. 30 seconds between when the trigger happens and when your emotional reaction takes place. And in that 30 seconds, you have this chance to choose a different reaction. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I've had both. I have had the regular reaction. I've had the trigger reaction. So I will say that when I choose my reaction, it generally works out better in the end. It's less of a fight. It doesn't feel quite as crazy, I guess. But so that is one of the things that's going to come up for you. And I think that this might be why you're taking the walkabout, because it just, when something like this happens, it's very typically Aquarian, as I know, as well as you, being an Aquarian myself, that the easiest thing for us to do is to literally just step away from everybody. Okay. Want to unplug from the world. Okay. I don't want to see another human face for the next 15 minutes. Which kind of helps bring you back to balance and to where you want to be. The other thing is that I see you. I know you've been doing a lot of painting, and I see you painting like there's a lot of anger in this painting. Like you're just. I mean, you are. There's a lot of aggression going into this painting, but oh my God, what a painting it's gonna be. Okay, I don't know if you're currently working on this, or you've been thinking about working on this, or if you've been thinking about maybe working through some of your past anger through your art. If that's the case, it's going to work out beautifully. Okay. So if you've been wondering whether or not you should do this, I definitely would just do it. Okay. And see what happens, because I really feel that it's going to work out very well for you. And it's going to be a very, very useful tool for you in terms of letting some of that inner child or past traumatic stuff go. I've seen other people do it, and it really is a healing experience. So I'm pretty sure you're already doing it. I don't know if you know you're consciously doing it or not, but most definitely this would be a great idea for you. Okay, that's what I have for you. That's what I have for everybody. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out. Remember, if you want to be on this list, you need to click the membership link down there in the description, so that you can get yourself added to this list. Just remember that these readings are done a week in advance, starting today, a week in advance. So if you do decide that you want to be a member, you need to give it a couple of weeks before your name actually appears on the list. Okay, I'm Melissa Bruce, the Heavy Metal Psychic. Thank you for being a member, and I will see you for some more readings next week.